Hello there, Ray here, and welcome back to the ProtoTech SMP server, where we push the limits of what can be done in a 100% survival world. In the last episode, we went ahead and acquired some of these extremely rare mobs that could only be obtained on Halloween, and we did an entire 24-hour live stream, hoping to collect some especially rare variations of them. Hope you guys really enjoyed the last episode of us collecting these guys. The link to the episode is down below, as well as the entire playlist of this series. So our goal today is to see exactly what we have in these big batches. We know they're all quite rare, but we don't know how rare they are. We're going to try to find the rarest variation that we have obtained so far. So the first thing we have to do is go ahead and kind of spread these guys out so we can see exactly what we have. And for that, we're going to build a large cage to kind of allow them to roam around. So down there we built up the pen, and you can see it is quite large. Should be able to allow us to see all the different types of mobs. It has a snow bottom. We also got some glass around the sides to keep them in. And we have a glass ceiling on top of it as well. We also have this kind of glass umbrella about 10 blocks above it to prevent lightning strikes from coming down and affecting the mobs down below by damaging them. Because over time, lightning would eventually kill the mobs, which is something you have to be aware of when you store a lot of mobs that are within 8 blocks of accessing the sky. So let's head down there and see what's all going on. So we built a big room over here that is 2 blocks tall. And this is where we're going to put all the Halloween mobs, because currently they're all stacked up in these pens, and these are all good mobs, so we kept them all. But yeah, they're on top of each other. We can't really see what's going on, so we're gonna move them on over into this big room. They'll walk around, they'll spread out, and we can kind of look at them, and then once they're spread out, we'll put them in pens individually. Especially the nice ones, we'll keep those. So we have a few big bunches. We got a bunch down here, a bunch there, and also a bunch kind of back there by those slime blocks. And we're going to release this first batch. The horses are big enough to fit underneath here. And the skeletons at the top currently have their heads inside glass. They won't be able to shoot. So they can walk around here, but they won't be able to shoot you, which is good. And since the skeleton's also 2 blocks tall, they use the skeleton's AI when choosing to pathfind. So the skeleton will think that he can fit through here since he's too high, and he'll walk around in here just fine. If the mob that was on top is bigger, like we have some wither skeleton guys in the nether dimension, they actually don't think they can go through too high space, even though the horse can, which is kind of strange. This should be good. Let's go ahead and give it a try. So I got all those glass blocks in there. Make sure I put a leaf block in here. And we'll also put some snow layers down here, so they think they can walk across. If they're just glass, they don't think they can walk across the glass, so they get kind of scared. So I'll remove that. Remove. I'll stand back a little bit. Move that. And now they'll start making their way, walking around. La-di-da-di-da. They'll walk around like good old guys. So it'll take them a little while to walk around, because they'll do it on their own. And they'll eventually see all this spot over here to walk to, and they'll eventually walk over there. It might take a little while. A couple of guys made it out. You can kind of see what they look like. Really cool. There's a full leather guy with a jack-o'-lantern head. I think this guy is similar. He has enchanted pieces of armor. So we let the horses kind of walk around a bit. You can see them over here. There's a bunch still right here. We dropped down a couple batches. A batch over here we let go. There's a batch over here and over here. They all dropped downwards and pushed with water over this direction. And whenever they want, they'll just walk and kind of spread out. And when they spread out, then we're going to be more easier for us to sort them, because you can easily see which ones are nice. You can start categorizing them, like all the chain ones. Ooh, that's a really nice one right there. I remember that one. Yeah, we gave that one that wooden sword there. Yeah, you can kind of see the difference. I've got some diamond guys in there and whatnot. We'll look at them all once they kind of spread out. There you go. That guy eventually moved away from the group. So right now we're trying to get these guys. They're inside of these kind of smaller pins. Push them over there and down. And we do have some like slime blocks. Like we made these slime block systems here to push them out. And they do work. Like if we put a button here. I think these still work. Yeah. The problem is these ones that are right here are not far enough over for the slime to affect them. So I think we're going to put a hole like right here. Then we'll put in our water and a slab. So water put right here. It should wash these guys out, we're hoping. And the water hopefully don't make too much of a mess. Let's kind of hope the water to kind of go diagonal like. But no, it sees a hole over there and it goes straight over there. What we can do is put a block on the other side, and that way it makes it go around the block. I think a banner might be pretty good. Banner would hold the water, plus it'd be something the guys can walk through. Let's see if we have some banners up here. So a case like this, we would remove this block, put a banner in right there, then block this off, and then put our water in. Let's grab our water, put it right there. Oh, this one we didn't block off. Water went the wrong direction. But yeah, I kind of want to block these off before I put water in there. Otherwise, water's gonna go that way instead of this way. Well, how about we just use our other banner to put it right, put it in there, but we can't do it because there is a mob in the way. And we want to keep that mob, so let's click it right there. Now let's try the water. Put our slab in, put our water in. There, let's go. Pulls the guys around and drops them down. Let's get our water back again. Might make a little bit of mess, but I think that's the easiest way to get those guys out of those tricky situations. So when we come across groups like this, which are nice and contained inside their pin, we can easily push them using this piston slide mechanism we have already attached to each of the pins. So if you press this, I'll just shove them over. But these other pins that are kind of more complex, we have some guys that are straight in front of the piston, so we can push those guys over. But some of these that are stuck inside the wall, we have to first get them out of the wall. The way we got into the wall is he was pushed over, and then I pushed blocks into him, kind of as a temporary fix. And we've come back and we can clean up these banners. Yeah, we only have a couple more to do, and then we'll have all the mobs down below, which should be great. And then we can start trying to see which mobs are the really rare ones. That should have been the last horseman that we needed. All these pins are empty. Everything got pushed over, sent downwards, and they are put into the pin down below. We'll go down there and check them out. You hear them splashing around in the water. So it'll take them a little time to pathfind, but they'll eventually walk around. So eventually they'll all make it out here so we can see what type of like skeleton types they are. But once they're out here, it's pretty obvious. So you guys see which ones we got. I got some diamond guys, jack-o' lantern guys, gold guys, all sorts of variations. So I'm just going to AFK this place. And then once they're all spaced out, then we can start sorting them. So AFK'd here a bit. You can see we got a lot more guys out here in the playpen, as we like to call it. Some guys are still sitting here. We don't really want them in here because back there, they could potentially see you. Their head won't be inside of glass. We're over here. All their heads should be inside glass, and we should never worry about getting attacked. So we can actually walk in there. I want to show you guys some kind of funny statistics that we've acquired to do with skeleton horses. If you guys didn't know, on our server we can actually show all the statistics that the players have. So like these statistics are just mine, but I can actually compare mine with all the other members, at least the top 16 in each statistic. So we can type stuff into the chat, and the server is actually able to read that and change the statistic board without anybody on the server, without anyone on the server actually being an admin or even modifying our Minecraft jar at all. So we can keep our server 100% vanilla survival. So if we just type in !S, that stands for stat, and then we can say K for kill and skeleton horse, and this should bring up a statistic of the top players who've killed the most skeleton horses. Let's go ahead and hit enter. Apparently I wrote that wrong. Must be skeleton horse there. So there is a scoreboard of the top 16 players on the server who have the most skeleton horse kills. As you can see at the very top is my alt account, Illy, with over 4 million skeleton horse kills. And that is pretty outrageous, as the only way you can obtain these guys in survival is from those lightning storms. And there's like a 1% chance that each lightning that strikes will produce a trap horse, which will produce those skeleton horses. So it's extremely rare to get large amounts of skeleton horse kills, but we do have it on here on the server. And my main account, which is Rays there, is in second place with almost 20,000 skeleton horse kills. And that's just from testing the farm out when we were building it up, as well as doing these Halloween events. Now, it does seem like Illy has a lot of skeleton horse kills, but there's actually a weird quirk to do with killing mobs. They only count towards the statistic if you do the final hit. So if you would hit like a skeleton horse and it would fall into lava and die from lava after you hit it, it would not count as one of these type of kills. So there's actually a different statistic to show all the skeleton horses that the player actually killed. And we can show this by looking at mob kills. So mob kills, this will show the total number of mob kills. But for the elite count, the only thing the count has really been doing is sitting here killing skeleton horses. So you can see the official count for number of skeleton horses that we killed is over 66 million skeleton horses. That is pretty darn insane. It also reaches the #1 slot of the most mobs killed, which is pretty outrageous. And the other few people that are at the top of the list are from AFKing the Pigman Donut XP farm. So just by AFKing those Pigman XP farms, it'll actually count towards mob kills for the player. So my count killed way more mobs than even people that just AFK at those. Very cool statistics. You can also see how many skeletons were killed as well. So we type in skeleton. You can see a player killed over 1 million skeletons. And this is because when the player is AFKing up there killing skeleton horses as well as the horsemen, there's a chance that he can kill the rider if he's low health. That's just the way the system works. And these skeleton horses as well as skeleton kills were all obtained while we were trying to run the lightning farm to get the Protection 8 helmets. So those kills weren't obtained during the Halloween event, but my skeleton kills were, as well as my skeleton horse kills, as we were clearing out a lot of these guys in hopes to find some extremely rare ones. Now while my alt account was killing a lot of skeletons, he was dealing a lot of damage, and there's actually a statistic to keep track of how much damage you dealt. So it's called damage dealt, and there you see is the number of actual hearts that my player did. Almost 100 million damage of hearts my player did towards mobs, which is pretty crazy to think about. Think if there was like a boss that had 100 million hearts of damage and how long it would take to actually kill that mob. Now besides damage dealt, there's also damage taken, which shows the top players and how much hearts they take in worth of damage. So if you go ahead and hit enter there, damage taken, you can see my account's also #1 in damage taken. And you might be wondering, how did my player take so much damage while running this farm? And this is just because his hunger would go out, and when you're in hard difficulty, once your hunger bar goes away, all your hearts start slowly going away as well. That counts as damage taken, but we have a regen beacon here which prevents the player from actually dying. So you can see he has taken almost 24 million hearts of damage, and the people that are lower than him only have a little over 1 million hearts worth of taken damage. So pretty crazy what can actually be obtained from this farm. Like I said, not only the other crazy stuff that we showed you guys in past videos with all the mob farms and the Protection 8 helmets and the charged creeper farms, all this stuff, you can also get some pretty crazy statistics just from operating this farm. Now during the actual event of us sorting these guys out, we're using fishing rods to pull them towards us and sort them. And we can actually see how many fishing rods that we broke. So B stands for broken, and then fishing rod, this should show us the total number of fishing rods that we actually broke during the event. I have reached over 1,000 fishing rods broken during the event, just pulling these mobs over, which is pretty crazy. And Zerex, you can tell he did quite a few as well. He's over 800. That means I actually went through 1,000 fishing rods just trying to get all these rare guys. That is a lot of clicking. And there were just normal fishing rods that didn't have like any enchantments on them, so they broke pretty fast, especially when you use them towards entities. They will break even quicker, yet you'll take more damage on the rod when you use it on something like an entity rather than fishing. Now funny enough, the person in 4th place called Wyvert, he actually obtained all his broken fishing rods just by AFK fishing. This was way back when the server was back in 1.8, and we didn't even have the mending books for fishing rods, so you'd have to keep giving the player new fishing rods in order for them to AFK fish. And for the longest time he used to be at the top of the scoreboard, but finally with this event he got pushed down into 4th place. Those are some really neat stats to show you guys how crazy this farm is. So as I was talking here, you've seen some pretty cool guys in the background. A lot of variations of pumpkin as well as jack-o'-lantern headed. There's still some guys that are still stuck over here. I think what I'll do is use some wire to push them all the way over here into the actual pen. Then I will close this off so they're all contained inside of here. And then I think we should probably start kind of sorting them out, especially the more rare ones. Maybe we'll kind of put them to the side, and then we'll see exactly what we have in here. So grab the materials. Let's get in here and see if we can push these guys. I think it should be safe for us to go in there. So let's move these guys along with some more water. Try and get them over into the other big pen, and then we'll close off this one. Okay, we got the 2 iron doors. to prevent them from coming back over into here. So yeah, it's like really safe to be in here because if you press F3 plus B, you can see the skeleton's head is technically inside this glass block. That's because the red line's there and they can't see. If they can't see you, they can't shoot at you. So you come in here and work with them. You can't actually push them with the player. The player can't push these guys. Just like all jockeys, you can't really push them. Even if you have like gas, try and push them, it wouldn't work as well. You can use stuff like water to move them, or you can use stuff like the fishing rod. This works because you're grabbing the horse part of the entity and you're pulling it, and then the skeleton that's riding it will come with it. That's kind of cool in there. That's an iron guy with a pumpkin head. Yeah, that's what we'll be doing, is sorting them out. Definitely like the jack-o'-lantern variations because those are about 10 times more rare than the pumpkin variation. So my idea was to come in here and kind of pull these guys into individual pens. They're kind of hard to move around, especially when there's so many. That's what I was hoping to kind of spread them out a bit. It looks like the water is going to be a good way to move around. So let's say if I want to get this guy here, separate him. I want to get him in that corner over there. What are you doing there? Stop moving around. So yeah, he's pretty much in the corner. Also want to have some iron bars. I was hoping to maybe contain him with iron bars. We got two guys here. Let's see. Can I separate these two guys a little bit? A little bit. So can I put an iron bar there? Yes, I can. And put one here too. Awesome. So I'm hoping to do something like that. Now he is stuck inside of there. He can't move around very much, and we can easily see what he is. We can even walk around on top of this and look down and be like, hey, that's a pumpkin guy with full leather with an enchanted bow in the right hand. And we can catalog him too. Maybe we'll first try to collect some of the armor variants, and I think because they're going to be the rarest by far. But mostly we're going after the full suits of one variation of armor with either a pumpkin or jack-o'-lantern head on it. So you guys seen it, I was sorting out the guys with armor, putting them up against the side. Pretty simple to move around. Just find one guy you're trying to move, put water close to him, and you can easily move around without wasting fishing rod. If I get to a situation where they're kind of stacked up, then I can use like a fishing rod to kind of pull them apart individually. But it goes through the fishing rod really quickly, so water is definitely the go-to method. But I did go around and pretty much filled up every single slot all the way around the outside with different types of either jack-o'-lantern or Halloween guys with armor. Most of them have full sets. I also put some partial sets in here as well, all along the edges. And let's actually take a look at this from above. I just stand up here and look down. Oh yeah, it's very easy to kind of see what's going on in here. Yeah, makes it very nice to just kind of observe the rareness of these mobs. Most of these guys will leave here, but some of them we will take all the way back to the zoo where we're trying to collect up every mob in the game of Minecraft. So that's another project we have to look forward to. Trying to figure out how we can get these really cool rare variants of skeleton horsemen all the way back to 0, 0. So we're currently out about 10,000 blocks from the zoo area. And since these guys are jockeys, they will not go through nether portals. So we have to transport them 10,000 blocks in overworld. So our two methods are either put them in a minecart and then ship them all the way to spawn using a large rail system, or make a flying machine and move them. Problem is, these jockeys that have horsemen riding them will not hop into minecarts. So you can't pick up a horse that is a jockey like this and put it inside of a minecart. So we're pretty much stuck just using flying machines to transport them. And they won't go inside of boats either, as no adult horse will go inside of a boat. At least not in this version. So making a flying machine to get these guys back will be pretty fun. But we still haven't really figured out which mobs we want to take back. As you guys probably see, we have quite a variety of mobs here. But the one that probably really stuck out to you is this diamond guy over here. He is really cool. You can see he has diamond boots, diamond leggings, a pumpkin head, And he also has a bow in his left hand that's enchanted. So we're going to have to try to figure out how rare he is. And we'll see if he is more or less rare than the next best variant. We also have quite a few leather guys, both pumpkin variations as well as jack-o'-lanterns. Jack-o'-lanterns have about 2.5% chance of being put on the skeleton's head during Halloween. The pumpkins have a 22.5% chance of spawning. We also have quite a few gold guys. Some have enchanted pieces and some don't. We also got jack-o'-lanterns and pumpkin variations. And very rarely do we come across a iron guy. Here we got a couple here. You can see this one has like enchanted boots. The other pieces are enchanted. This guy looks like he has chestplate enchanted. Maybe his leggings also enchanted, but has boots. Iron is more rare than even chain. There's a chain get right there. Now, getting all these amazing guys was a real team effort. As you guys see in the last episode, I was joined by a lot of the ProtoTech members helping me sort all these guys out and collect the best of the best. So big thanks to Lord John as well as Dr. Sploosh, Johnny595, ZeroX, L Gamer, Poison Dagger, Cohen, Pineapple, and Nudicus, as well as some of the other members for coming in and helping during the 24-hour event. And this diamond guy over here was sorted out by ZeroX, so very cool find indeed. So when these mobs spawn to the game, if they have a chance of getting armor, there is a 37% chance that it will be leather armor. There's actually even a higher chance it being gold armor. So gold is actually the least of all these variations. You think leather would be it, but gold is actually at 48%. And chain is the next rare, it's the third rarest, being almost 13%. Then for iron, there's only a 1.3% chance that once they're chosen for wearing armor, they will choose iron. And by far the rarest is a diamond, with only a 0.04% chance that they will be chosen to be given armor of the diamond variation. Now once it has chosen its armor type, it will then choose how many pieces to give it. So there's normally a total of 4 different pieces that each of these guys can be wearing. But since the way the game applies armor as well as enchantments onto these horsemen is different than most mobs, instead of having it apply all the armor onto one mob, essentially they think there is 2 mobs in the game. So let's say there is a normal skeleton and a skeleton horseman. Horsemen being the ones that ride on top of skeletons. They actually apply armor and enchantments to both these at the same time. So let's say the horsemen here, they normally when they spawn, they'll automatically always have an iron helmet as well as an enchanted bow. But there's a chance that they're given a different type of armor. So instead of just being their iron helmet, they could be given a chance of having gold. They'll have a gold helmet and even have some gold pieces. And the game normally never ever applies 2 different variations of armor. So you normally don't see like a skeleton that has a diamond helmet with like a gold body if it naturally is spawned into the game. But because the game accidentally applies these enchantments twice, once to the horseman and once to the skeleton, even if this skeleton over here has full gold armor on, including a helmet, this skeleton over here, he gets armor applied to him as well. So let's say this guy gets some armor applied to him with some enchantments. And if he gets like gold helmet that has like protection 3 enchantment on it, and this guy gets a gold helmet with a protection 3 enchantment on it, later on in the code, the game will take these 2 mobs and put them into one, which turns out to be these type of guys. And what you end up with is a guy with some gold helmets, but instead of just having 1 protection 3, you'll actually have 2 protection 3s, 1 from each side of here, and you end up with a protection 6 gold guy. And that's how we got those super rare helmets from this farm as high as protection 8, which can be obtained in survival. Now the same thing where the game applies enchantments and armor to these guys separately also allows us to get guys that have pumpkin or jack-o'-lantern heads with also armor. Because normally once the game applies a helmet onto these guys that is a pumpkin, it will automatically make sure not to add any armor onto them. So when you find other Halloween guides in your world, you'll notice that if they have pumpkin or jack-o'-lantern heads, they won't have any armor on them. But because these skeletal horsemen have their armor as well as enchantments applied twice, let's say this guy over here is given a pumpkin helmet and this guy is giving full gold armor. Then you end up with a guy that has a pumpkin head plus gold armor. So this is how it's possible to get armor plus a pumpkin on a mob and have it naturally be spawned into the game. And something kind of funny about this, it would be possible for their pumpkins or even their jack-o'-lanterns to be enchanted and have the same type of enchantments applied as you see on their armor, if the game actually consider pumpkins as a item that could be put into an enchanting table. As all armor in the game when given to mobs is thrown into a normal enchanting table just like what the player does, and is given an enchantment based off of a certain amount of levels. But because pumpkins aren't applied into enchanting tables and aren't given enchantments, it prevents them from actually getting any kind of cool looking glistening pumpkins on top of their head, which would be really cool. But with the quirkiness of how the enchantments as well as armors are applied onto these guys, we are lucky enough to get these rare combinations that actually do have armor on them. Otherwise, if that wasn't the case, then you'd be left with these type of guys, which we have quite a few of. They are just normal guys that are skeletons with no armor, and they can either have jack-o'-lantern or they can also have the pumpkin. And the next best thing that you can have on them is either left or right-handed. And there is a 5% chance that any mob spawn in the game will be left-handed. So the best variation that we would want to get is a jack-o'-lantern that is left-handed, that has the best armor, meaning the rarest one, which was diamond, and those diamond pieces being enchanted. So when it comes to applying armor in the beginning, there's only a 50% chance that I will try to add armor onto these guys. And on top of that, when it comes to actually enchanting armor, each piece has a chance of being enchanted, which is between 6 and 50% on hard mode. And our chance here is about 50%. That is because of the local difficulty. Since someone has been in these chunks for a long period of time, you can see the difficulty right here. It says local difficulty is 3.0, which will make a really good chance to get some of the more rare variations, such as ones with enchanted armor. Now there's also some other things to take into account, which is like, is their weapon enchanted? Well, for horsemen, there is a 100% chance that their bow will be enchanted, and even if they spawn in with iron helmets, there's also a 100% chance that those will be enchanted as well. So with so many different possibilities, it's kind of hard to tell which one of these is the rarest. Definitely a contender would probably be the diamond guy, and he would probably be put up against the next best guy, which would probably be an iron guy with a jack-o'-lantern helmet if we had one. And funny thing is, about 20 hours into the stream, we actually came across a iron guy being full iron with a jack-o'-lantern head, and I'll play the clip from the live stream. Oh! What? Did I just do that?
What happened?
Oh! So as you guys seen, I accidentally killed the iron guy wearing a jack-o'-lantern head, which was the rarest one that we had at the time. And it was about 20 hours into the live stream. I was really tired, and I was kind of in this repetitive motion of pulling the mobs out with the fishing rod and just whacking them with the axe. As soon as I seen one that didn't have any armor on, and I think what I did is I accidentally mistaken the iron whitish armor as being no armor whatsoever. I thought it kind of camouflaged with the background, and I killed it without even really taking a second glance at it. That's really unfortunate, but that can occur, especially if you're going for like a 24-hour live stream and you sort out through thousands and thousands of horses. So with that guy no longer one of our options, we have to kind of look for the next best one. We do have some chain guys here. We also have guys that have jack-o'-lantern heads, which are more rare than the pumpkin one. So I think I'm going to grab, maybe try to figure out the statistics of the diamond guy, and then maybe we'll try to grab the statistics off of the chain guys. It will be hard to tell which one will be the rarest without first doing the math. So let's figure out the rarity of this diamond guy right here, as he might possibly be the rarest that we have. So right off the bat, he has a pumpkin on his head, and there's a 22.5% chance that pumpkins will spawn on their head during the day of Halloween. So we'll do 0.225, that would be 22.5%. The mob is also left-handed, so we're going to multiply this times a 5% chance of it being left-handed. So you can see this is already becoming quite rare. Then there's only a 15% chance that it will be given armor to start out with, so we will times that 0.15. Then out of the different armor choices, there is a 0.04% chance they will choose diamond, so 0.0004. Now when it comes to how many pieces being applied to him, there is a 90% chance that there'll be 2 diamond pieces applied. So we'll times this 0.90, and there's additional 50% chance for each piece of armor that he has that is enchanted. Now for our guy here, it don't look like he has any other pieces enchanted whatsoever, so that percentage doesn't get applied to him. Now there's also some other criteria that can be applied to these guys, such as having a weapon. If it's a mob such as like a zombie, there is a 5% chance that they will be holding a weapon. And skeletons as well as zombies also have a chance of their weapon being enchanted, which is at 25% chance. But since these guys are horsemen, there is a 100% chance that they will have that weapon enchanted. So we won't add any of these figures into our calculation. Now there's also a chance that these mobs can pick up loot, and there is a 55% chance that they will have the ability to pick up something. This is nice in some circumstances, but also bad in others. So like a guy wearing diamond, if you happen to come in contact with some, let's say, enchanted diamond leggings, you would pick those up and he wouldn't be the original guy. So essentially what you could do is you could find one of these guys that have no armor on whatsoever, just make sure that they have the ability to pick up loot, then give them full diamond and they would look really nice. So if you're trying to collect guys with full armor, you actually want the pick up loot tag to be false, meaning that they can't pick up any gear. Otherwise, it's very hard to distinguish if the armor that's on them was given to them by a player or they actually naturally spawned with it. Being a 55% chance, there's about, you could say it's like a 50-50 chance that each of these guys will have the ability to pick up armor or not. And when it comes to guys with pumpkin heads, you can actually give mobs pumpkin heads any time of the year if they have the pick up loot. So if this guy had pick up loot, he wouldn't be very rare, as you could give him the pumpkin, you can give him all this golden armor. The only rare part about him is that he's actually a skeleton riding a skeleton horse. But when it comes to jack-o'-lanterns, it is impossible to make a skeleton or any mob pick up a jack-o'-lantern head and wear it, unless they naturally do this during the day of Halloween. So if you ever see a jack-o'-lantern on a mob, you are 100% sure that it came from the day of Halloween. Now this guy we got last year, which is a really cool guy that has full chain armor that is enchanted, which is quite rare, and we wanted to see if he could pick up loot, so we didn't want to accidentally give him like a diamond helmet and have him switch out his jack-o'-lantern head, which they will do if they can have pick up loot. So you have to be careful with that as well. And we didn't want to accidentally switch out any of his armor either, because he naturally spawned with us. So to test him, we actually gave him just a wooden sword. And it turns out he could pick up items, so he dropped his bow and picked up the wooden sword. You notice he's also left-handed. So this guy is quite rare, and we actually have a record of him coming from the Halloween event, so we can confirm that. And he also has pick up loot, which is an additional 55% chance. So technically, if they pick up loot, they are less rare than ones that can't pick up loot, which is kind of odd. You think their ability to pick up loot should be more rare than not being able to pick up loot. Now we could test this guy by giving him like a wooden sword, but we can also just take a copy of the world and test him in the copy, therefore we don't actually affect this guy. So I made a copy of this world, and I can go ahead, open to land, I can turn on cheats, that way we can actually test stuff. Go into creative mode, and this is just like a backup of the world using the world downloader mod, which is very useful. So we did count equals 1. I stand really close to this diamond guy here and do the command. It's a little different in like 13 and 14 versions, but we're still back in 12. So right here you can see it says he's wearing diamond leggings, so we know we're looking at the right guy. And right here you can say can pick up loot is 0B, meaning he cannot pick up any loot. And it says other things like his pumpkin. Also will tell you if he did happen to have enchanted, I'll tell you exactly what type of enchantments are on his armor if you're curious. So technically this guy is more rare, so we can go ahead and go back to our calculations. So there is only a 45% chance that he will not be able to pick up loot with hard difficulty, including the local difficulty. So we go ahead and add that in there. So I went ahead and fixed my calculation problem. Accidentally hit enter somewhere there, but you can see all the numbers lined up there, multiplied together, and this is the current percentage. Now this is already quite rare, which would make it as rare as only 27 in every 100 million. But it's actually more rare than that, as you can only obtain this mob during the day of Halloween. Meaning at any given moment there is only a 1 in 365 chance that you will have this mob spawn at the correct time, as Halloween only comes once every year. So if we take our total and then we multiply it times 1 divided by 365, which is this number right here, our new number is quite small, so small that it doesn't even want to show up properly on the calculator. So this is what the number looks like. So that would make this guy equivalent of getting 1 every 1.3 billion skeleton horsemen that you go through. But this number really doesn't give justice to how rare this mob is. If you guys seen my old lightning farm where we designed it collecting manual lightning strikes out in the world before we made this RNG lightning farm, we had to make a large area and hope that lightning would strike. And throughout a in real life 24-hour day, on average you would get about 4 lightning strikes, which would produce the trap horsemen. When opened up, you would get a total of 16 of these horsemen riding horses per day. So rather than saying what percentage of skeleton horsemen will be just like this one, which is this number here, so let's see how many in real life days on average it would take to obtain one of these guys in the newer version, let's say 1.14, where you can't use this RNG lightning farm anymore. So let's first convert this number to see how many of these guys on average would you have to go through to just find one, just like this guy. So if we could get 16 of these guys per day, we'll divide this by 16. So it would take equivalent of 83 million days to get one of these guys. Let's see how many years that is. So if we were trying to obtain one of these guys, you'd get one about every 230,000 in real life years. So you can see how outrageously rare it is to actually get one of these guys in our survival world. So I did some math to see how rare this guy over here is. I think he's probably the rarest guy from last year. And he is as rare as 1 in every 74 million. Pretty big difference from like 1 in a billion to 1 in every 74 million. So even though this guy has jack-o'-lantern and also has 3 pieces, just because this guy has diamond, it makes him considerably more rare. Now if my calculations seemed off, tell me down in the comments. I also want to calculate how rare is the rarest variation that we were trying to go for during the Halloween event, but we never got it. But we'll do that in another episode. We also need to try and find a way to get these guys all the way back to spawn, which is going to be a real fun challenge. But I think that's going to be it for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining me as I have fun in survival. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.